Hey, Shalom Akim. First foremost, give all praise and glory unto Yahweh, Bashim Yahushai, Bashim Rachak with us. Double honors under the elders Apostle Green Millstone, the elders Green Millstone, and of course, peace and blessings under the hopeful elect, the sincere servants of Yahweh, Bashim Yahushai, serving him in truth and sincerity. Yes, on the brother Chayaba from Z-Man's Plaintiff's Camp. Come back with another lesson to the spirit. Yes, so this lesson be based off of this article from nationalnews.com, which is entitled, it says, Russia's Cold War Iron Cloud defense system could resurface amid modern missile threats. And as we know, there's a lot of things happening around the world as we speak. And of course, as we know, we are without a doubt in the end times that the scriptures prophesy. Scriptures prophesy how there will be many different things happening, and the scriptures go into it. And one of the biggest things that it goes into is war. War, between other nations, external wars, internal wars. Well, wars on all sides. So that's why we see, all these different countries preparing, again, for the inevitable war, which is World War III, which is scriptures 100% prophesy. So read a little bit of this article. It says Russia may be revisiting the Mosir Active Protection Complex, a Soviet-era system designed to protect ICBM silos by creating an iron cloud of tungsten rods, steel balls, and metal darts to shred incoming warheads. Originally developed in the 1970s, it was 90% effective in tests, but abandoned in 1991 due to Soviet collapse and funding cuts. It says, unlike traditional missile defense, Mosir acts as a last line kinetic kill system, firing 40,000 projectiles at Mach 5.3 to mechanically destroy warheads without triggering nuclear detonation. Successfully intercepted simulated warheads from R-36M2 Satan ICBMs, some of the most powerful missiles ever built. It says, with the ABM treaty scrapped in 2002 and Russia facing advanced U.S. hypersonic threats like the LGM-35A Sentinel, Moscow may be reconsidering Mosir. Reports suggest a modernized version could intercept cruise missiles. It says precision-guided bombs and maneuvering hypersonic warheads. Then read this. It says Mosir's redeployment can make disarming first strikes against Russian ICBMs far harder, altering nuclear strategy. Unlike costly interceptors, Mosir offers a cheaper last-ditch defense, potentially sparking a new arms race and missile countermeasures. So we can see that, again, these nations aren't stopping. These other nations are preparing for war, as the scriptures prophesy. So, that's why we see, all these, basically we see missile technology quickly advancing. And that's for a reason. Let's go ahead and get Joel chapter 3 and 9. It says, proclaim ye this among the Gentiles. Prepare war, break up the mighty men. Let all the men of war draw near. Let them come up. And when you get, so it says, proclaim ye this among the Gentiles, prepare war. Wake up the mighty men, let all the men of war draw near, let them come up. And when you get that word, and of course we know the Gentiles are referring unto these other nations. Of course, we speak in a first person plural sense. Us, again, us referring unto us brothers within the truth. Of course, us Israelites. So proclaim ye this among the Gentiles, prepare war, wake up the mighty men. And the Gentiles are these other nations. Esau, Edom, so-called white man. Of course, Moab, so-called Chinese. Ishmael, so-called Arabians. So on and so forth. Ammon, so-called Japanese. And what? So what? Again, all these other nations are preparing war. You got Iran. Again, all these nations within the Middle East, again, Without a doubt, we're seeing a war being brewed up. And you got wars happening as we speak. Again, that final war, World War III, which really, we're in the beginning stages of World War III. All we're waiting for is the climax. So it says, Joel chapter 3:9, proclaim ye this among the Gentiles. Prepare war, wake up the mighty men. It says, let all the men of war draw near, let them come up. Exactly, so these other nations are preparing war. It says, wake up the mighty men, let all the men of war draw near, let them come up. Yeah, again, these militaries, it says, well, wake up the mighty men, let all the men of war draw near. Exactly, so again, the militaries, these other nations are quickly advancing the military. And again, preparing for this war. When you get that word for prepare within the Hebrew word is kodash, meaning what? To consecrate, sanctify, dedicate. What is, sanctify? Set apart. It says make or declare. And then, you have prepare. It says make something ready for use or consideration. So again, these other nations are preparing. They're preparing for the war. Which, as the scriptures prophesy, the final thing that these other nations will accomplish is what's setting this place on fire. When I say this place, I'm referring to Babylon the Great, which is America, as the scriptures prophesy. The scriptures prophesy, we can go all throughout the book about this place being burned up. Babylon the Great, the whore, the harlot, as the scriptures call it. So going back to the article, it says the U.S. explored similar concepts, e.g. swarm jet, but never deployed them. It says with China explaining MIRV capable ICBMs, Mosier's return could reshape global missile defense dynamics. Its revival may be closer than expected. Exactly. So what? Lord had to wear, this, and what the that at the end of the day, Yahweh Shemiah Shai controls everything. If he wants a certain project to shut down and wait, for basically, bring it back for another period, then he can do that, and we obviously see that with this. So again, the Lord's allowing these other nations to quickly advance with their, with their military and their missile technology. So yeah. Going back, so let's go ahead and read a little bit of this article. Scrolling down, it says, if Russia redeploys Mosier, it could fundamentally alter nuclear deterrence dynamics. Unlike traditional missile defense, which relies on costly interceptors, Mosier offers a cheaper, last-ditch solution to protect silos, potentially making a disarming first strike against Russia's ICBMs far harder. It says, so we just read that. Well, it says, meanwhile, the U.S. has explored similar concepts such as the Cold War era swarm jet system, but never fielded one. Yeah, we just read that. So hey, there you have it. So, well, it goes to show you again how Yahweh Shemiah Shai, he's preparing something big, and ultimately, it goes to show you what the scriptures going to, how those arrows will be shot and they won't return. Let's go ahead and get Jeremiah chapter 59. It says, for lo, I'll raise and cause to come up against Babylon an assembly of great nations from the north country, and they shall set themselves in array against her. From thence she should be taken. The arrow should be as of a mighty expert man. None shall return in vain. Exactly. So, Babylon again to be, we know this is speaking about ancient Babylon. This is referring on to the modern day Babylon, which is America. Because again, this hasn't happened you can find the ancient location of Babylon, which is located within modern day Iraq. And obviously what's described for Babylon, the future Babylon within what the of course, for example, Jeremiah chapter 49, Jeremiah chapter 50, Jeremiah chapter 51, Isaiah 13, so on and so forth. Well, again, they're referring on to the future Babylon, which when you look at the ancient or the ancient location about Babylon, which again is located in modern day Iraq, we don't see the same effects within that place. So we know that this is referring on to the future Babylon. So read, again, it says Jeremiah chapter 59, for lo, I will raise a cause to come up against Babylon, an assembly of great nations from the north country. So we know that north country, of course, is Russia. And it says an assembly of great nations. And we know the assembly of great nations is the Russian Federation. We know that that north country, again, is Russia. Scriptures also go into the Medes, which again is referring on to the same place, the same nation, which is Russia. So it says, and they shall set themselves in array against her. From thence she should be taken. The arrow should be as of a mighty expert man. None shall return in vain. Exactly. And again, the arrows are symbolic onto the nuclear missiles. Obviously, you can't shoot a traditional bow and arrow from a whole another country. Again, so this is symbolic and figurative for the nuclear missile, and also what the prophets were using the best terms that they had back then, to describe these visions that they were seeing. Because again, they were literally seeing the future, and they had to use the best terms that they had back then. So again, we know, of course, through, what Yahweh Shemi Shah waking us up, what, of course, the Lord uses his mouthpiece, talking with the elder apostles, great millstone, elders on down. Again, we know exactly what the Lord has given us the eyes to see. And again, we know exactly what this is referring to. We know that Babylon is referring on to America, and we know that links up to the same Babylon mentioned within, of course, the book of Revelation. We know the North country is referring on to Russia. We know the Assembly of Great Nations is the Russian Federation. It says, and they shall set themselves in array against her. Yeah, because they're literally going to surround America. It says, from thence she should be taken, meaning it's going to be destroyed and burned up. It says, their arrow should be as of a mighty expert man. None shall return in vain. Yeah, ultimately the missiles that these other nations shoot towards America, Russia, the Russian Federation, and of course we know these other nations will aid, of course, with Russia to destroy America, and as well as, of course, again, so these other nations will become allies with one another to destroy Babylon. It says, their arrows should be as of a mighty expert man. None shall return in vain. Meaning that, again, because we understand how these missiles have a highly advanced targeting system. It says, none shall return in vain. Because as soon as they're shot, they're going straight for the target. And again, and what, as we know, of course, what the spirit of the Lord Yahweh Shemi Shai will also be within these missiles. So it doesn't matter if, let's say, basically the person launching the missile, of course, wants the missile to go to a certain place. If the Lord wants to go somewhere else, guess what? It's going to go exactly wherever the Lord, wants it to go to. So it says, none shall return in vain, meaning it's going straight for the target, wherever Yahweh Shemi Shai, of course, wants it to go to. So, it says, verse 10, all Chaldea shall be a spoil. All that spoil her should be satisfied, say the Lord Yahweh. Chaldea, again, referring unto the same place. Scriptures, speak in twos and threes, a lot of times referring unto the same place. So again, Babylon, Chaldea, referring unto the same place. America. So again, Yahweh Shemi Shai is preparing something big. And these defense systems, to protect even these other nations are setting up systems where the missiles that they launch are protected by a cloud of other basically a defense system, protecting their main missiles going, that are designed again to hit the target. So a defense missile system that they're setting up. So yeah, so Khan. So I believe that's the point. Those are you brothers that are edified. Yahweh Bashmi Al Shah Bashmi Kakurash Brakathum. Shalom.